Well, hello everyone. I've been taking a look at the comments, and the request that we got was from Tan. Make a 250 point MSU Rebel fleet that's beginner friendly. To play, assuming you have two of every ship pack and core set. Bonus, make an Imperialist that is fun to play against a 3x3 with the same restriction. They want admirals, and they want upgrades. So, okay, this is a bit different than normal. We're not building a competitive 400 point list. And some of you say, but I'll never play 250. I'll never play a smaller game outside of Rebellion in the Rim, or I won't even play Rebellion in the Rim. I'm all about my 400 points, the list. And how the fuck are you getting new players? How the fuck are you building your community? Because when this is all over and we have Clone Wars, 200 to 250 is all people are going to be able to build those new sets. When this is all over and you can go back into your game store, what are you doing to get new people back into the game? I fully understand. I spend most of my day, if you look at my lists, dreaming about various 400 point lists. But remember, you can have the fucking best list in the world. You can own every ship. You can have every alternate card. If you don't have somebody to play with, what's the fucking point? Vassal is great. I love my Vassal buddies. I play 3 Rebellion Realms online, but there's nothing like a tournament or a friendly meetup with a local friend to play a couple of games. So that's why we're going to do this, and I'm happy to talk about it. I'm not probably the most qualified. I have not done a great job getting the Irish community up and going some of the time, but we'll do our best. Anyway, this is an important discussion, even if it's not competitive, even if it's not the most relevant. So we'll try and create 2 lists. So we're going to start with the Rebel list. So this sounds like the Rebel list is for the new player. So what we're going to do is we're going to introduce some concepts. We're going to start with the Hammerhead. The Hammerhead is not the most spectacular ship in the whole world. It's not, but it's solid. It is solid. So as that, we've got a new player, so we're giving him or her one of every colored dice out the front. So you get an idea, give them an idea of Rageous. The Hammerhead is wonderful for that. Then we give them an idea of, well, we need a bit of dice fixing. So let's throw a Task Force on there. Task Force Organa. It's not the most reliable in the world, but we're at 250 points, you know? And then we'll just give them a bit of punch so they can see the value of getting close at those black dice, external ranks. Okay, and obviously, if we've got Task Force Organa, we'll do it twice. So it's just 80 points out of our 250. It's not too bad. Then we will have a CR-98 with turbo laser reroute circuits and Janus Light. There's part of me which, for a new player, is reluctant to go, let's put in Janus Light. This should not probably be used for the first game they ever play. And Janus Light is definitely something a Rebel player needs to know. But the one issue I have with Janus Light is if you're teaching them new concepts, being totally able to ignore obstructions probably doesn't help with that necessarily. But I'm guessing this is not the first game ever. If it is, and they're always going to be Rebels, well, Janus Light is something they really, really should know about. As I always say, the power in that, 2 points. And turbo laser reroute circuits, most other ships, rather than TRCs, I probably want linked turbo lasers. Except that you've got the 2 evades on the CR-90. And it's just that consistent damage. And then we want a bit of a heavier hitter. Mainly, you know, and you want to be able to push 1 or 2 squadrons. So the Neb B, it's always tricky with the Neb B, but here, one thing the ship does show is the importance of arcs. You know, keeping the front arc forward, how you present the ship is an important thing to learn. Now, this ship teaches it in the harshest fucking way possible. It really does. The amount of Nebs I lose every time I run them because I fuck up slightly, I'm slightly show that side arc and they die. It's good to learn, but this is the thing, they've got to learn, are Neb Bs the ship for them or not? I think on a 3x3, if we included an MC30, they're probably a better choice competitively, but the likelihood your new player is going to fly them off the board is just too much. So then we'll go with a fun title, we'll go with Salvation. And this way, you know, they get to see the power of the frontal red battery, and then we throw in link turbo laser turrets. This means we can help with any flak. We've already got the 2 blue, and gives us a better chance of Salvation working. And then we've got Agate. Let's make it more forgiving than it normally is. Okay, and then to round it out, we're going to add 2 very forgivable squadrons that can keep up and can do a little bit of damage to ships. So they're not bombers, but they're black dice, so they're consistently, generally getting that 1 damage on a ship. They're survivable, they're fast, they'll get up there to protect your ships. So, nice, forgiving, good squadron. Now, we know this, like, if we were building this in isolation, we'd probably throw in aces, but for a new player, there's no need to throw in aces straight away. No, let them enjoy having the generics. Let them learn the abilities without having to learn the defensive tokens and the special things and this and that. No. Then throw in Marked for Destruction. And this helps them see. So this is the thing, like, with these objectives, you could go Most Wanted, probably. Opening salvo is a trap. Precision strike, you don't have enough bombers. Marked for Destruction just throws in like the Purgles and things that aren't in the normal range of obstacles. That's why it's in there, and I think it's good to give them an idea, because, like, let's say you're a new player, you don't want to overload them with rules, but let's say you're having a mini tournament, people are going to take Rebellion and the Rim objectives, and you don't want the first time them to be confronted with some of these obstacles to be in a tournament. And if you're going to play these lists a couple of times, a little bit of variety. Then with the defense, we throw in Asteroid Tactics. Exocards are something they need to learn about. They really do. Now, normally I'd say throw in Infested Fields, but we look at Marked for Destruction. You see excluding the station. Asteroid Tactics is excluding the station. So then we definitely don't want to exclude it for the last one. And then, so with that, we're probably looking at one that gives them a bit of advantage. So Solar Crown. The Solar Crown is one that a lot of people play, a lot of people default to. It's a good one for them to try. So this is our Rebel MSU. Okay, there's only so much MSUing you can do in 250 points. If we put in another Corvette A or a Corvette B, we're really reduced to a flotilla in terms of combat ships. The Neb B should be a lot more forgiving with Agate. Salvation and then turbo lasers are a bit of fun. So that'd be our Rebel list. And then if we look to fight this, so you don't want the first thing I'd say is you do not want an IST. An IST2, for example, will wreck them. And this is the thing. They do need to be taught to flank, but teaching them to flank with an IST is too much. So I would say we go with a victory 2. It's still ferocious. If it catches any of their ships wrong, they're in trouble. But it's slow and ponderous, so they have a chance to maneuver around it. It had leading shots, so it's still fairly lethal. We're obviously putting our Admiral on it. I'm actually saying P it, simply because it gives the Imperial commander kind of flexibility. The other ships, you've got your Squadron 3, so you're a good carrier, you know. And then, because just a Raider 1, nice simple Raider 1, like this is a fast ship, so you're kind of supporting it a bit. If anything is just hanging out of range, Raider 1 can get around, and again, you have to be careful. So, because the Rebel player is the newer list, more experienced player has that Raider 1, which is, you can demonstrate people not being careful and flying off. And then, so you're able to fight back at long range, the Arctons. You probably wanted supporting the victory, so you throw some quad battery turrets on it, you know? And then, what I thought about this was a nice mix of squads. 2 TIE fighters, and then you add basically 2 TIE bombers. So if they send their E-wings after your ships, then you can punish them with the TIE bombers. If they take out your TIE fighters and tie up your TIE bombers, then they'll see it being more successful, you know? And this is kind of the lesson you can teach them. So this is the thing. I think you don't have too many upgrades, but this is kind of like giving them an idea of leading shots is a good idea. Piet gives you a lot of flexibility in what you're doing with your commands. So if you're trying to demonstrate repair or a repair or a concentrate fire or something like that, the value of tokens, I think he's a good commander for the demonstrating player. I'm not sure this is a great fleet for another beginner, and Piet can quite easily be Motti, and you'll go to 250. But I think Piet just gives you flexibility if you want to demonstrate something. He gives the teaching player something to do with that. Advanced gunnery is there so that you can teach them never to take it with something like an MSU. Basically, fleet in being. This, I like the idea of this just simply to demonstrate, you know, because it helps with the defense tokens. It may be a case you get to demonstrate their value more. And that way they kind of have to play around with it a little bit. And then Doom Station. So you can demonstrate the rift, you can slowly meander forward. So yeah, this is my thoughts on some learning fleets at 250. Now, what I would say to anyone, I suppose this is a bit of a shorter one than normal. I've been thinking about this most of the week, and it's been a while since I got a learning fleet. So if you have a good idea of how you introduced your community to the game, how you got new players, either fleets or tactics or anything like that. I'd love for you to put them in the comments, and we can read through some of the tips next week. Anyway, I think excellent question, Tam. I hope the apocalypse is finding you all wonderful. And if you have any other requests for fleets or anything like that, please throw them in the comments. Wishing you all the best. Subscribe, do all that stuff you want. If you don't. And sure, talk to you again soon.